Jamuna tira vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Pravijacharya Astoru Shishyamat His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Pravijacharya Astoru Shishyamat His Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Ananti Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Naam Acharya Saradas Thakur Ki Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyam Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Vrindavan Navadip Dham Ki Ganga Mai Jamuna Mai Ki Bhakti Devi Tulasi Devi Ki Samavaita Bhaktivinoda Ki Nitai Gaur Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. So, we're going to be reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, the 4th canto, 24th chapter, text number 74. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So let's do the word for synonyms first. Atha idam nityada yukta japan avihita puman achirat shreya apnoti vasudeva parayana. Atadem nityada yukta japan avihita puman achirat shreya apnoti Vasudeva Parayanaha Atedam Nityada Yukta Japan Avihita Puman Achirachreya Apnoti Vasudeva Parayanaha Atade Nityada Yukta Japan Avihita Puman Achirachreya Apnoti Vasudeva Parayanaha Atedam Nityada Yukta Japan Avihita Puman Achirachreya Apnoti Vasudeva Parayanaha Atadem Nityada Yukta Japan Avihita Puman Achirachreya Apnoti Vasudeva Parayanaha Atidam Nityada Yukta Japan Avihita Puman Achirachreya Apnoti Vasudeva Parayanaha. To the word for word. Ata, thus. Idam, this. Nityada, regularly. Yukta, with great attention. Japan, by murmuring. Avihita, fully attentive. Puman, a person. Achira, without delay. Shreya, auspiciousness. Apnoti, achieves. Vasudeva Parayana, one who is a devotee of Lord Krishna. Translation: a devotee of Lord Krishna whose mind is always absorbed in him, who with great attention and reverence chants the stotra or prayer, will achieve the greatest perfection of life without delay. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Perfection means becoming a devotee of Lord Krishna. As stated in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, Text 28, Vasudeva Paravedi, Vasudeva Paramaka. The ultimate goal of life is Vasudeva or Krishna. Any devotee of Lord Krishna can attain all perfection, material gains and liberation simply by offering prayers to him. There are many varieties of prayers to Lord Krishna, chanted by the great sages and great personalities such as Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. Lord Krishna is known as Siva Virinichunitam, Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th Canto, 5th Chapter, Text 33. Shiva means Lord Shiva and Virinchi means Lord Brahma. Both of these demigods are engaged in offering prayers to Lord Vasudeva Krishna. If we follow in the footsteps of such great personalities and become devotees of Lord Krishna, our lives will become successful. Unfortunately, people do not know this secret. Natu vidu sarvata gatim hi Vishnum. They do not know that the real interest and the highest perfection of life is to worship Lord Vishnu or Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th Canto, Chapter 5, Text 31. It is impossible to become satisfied by trying to adjust the external energy. Without being a devotee of Lord Krishna, one can only be baffled and confused. To save living entities from such a calamity, Lord Krishna points out in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, text 19, Bahunam janmanam ante jnanavan mam prapajyate Vasudeva sarvam iti sahamatma sudurlabha. After many, many births and deaths, a wise man surrenders unto me, knowing very well that I, Vasudeva, am everything. Such a great soul is very rare. We can achieve the benediction we want simply by becoming devotees of Vasudeva. I'll read the verse again, the translation. A devotee of Lord Krishna whose mind is always absorbed in him, who with great attention and reverence chants the stotra of prayer, will achieve the greatest perfection of life without delay. So we will unpack the verse itself first. And the verse, mind always absorbed in him. So what does that mean? It means that bhakti is a continuous process, developing our consciousness to such a level that we can capture Krishna. It's not just a ritual act, like we do some sort of ritual. No, Srila Prabhupada, he constantly cites in the Gita, chapter 8, text 7, therefore always think of me, meaning always think of Krishna. And in the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, where Lord Krishna describes, the process of Ashtanga Yoga, and he concludes with the verse text 47. You remember it? Yoginam api sharvesham madgatena ranta atmana shadavan bhajati yomam same yuktamamata. It says, and of all the yogis, the one who is in great faith, who always abides in me, think of me within himself, and renders transcendent loving service to me. He is the most intimately united in yoga, and is the highest of all. That is my opinion. So this is Krishna's opinion, that if somebody is constantly remembering him, then he's situated on the highest level. This is his opinion. But it's also on the absolute platform, so it's also a fact. It's a fact. It's not that it's just an opinion. So absorption in the mind, man mana, is the essence. Always think of me. Always think of Krishna. It's an active process, actively engaging in Krishna's service. Like whatever service you engage in, you're doing the arati, or you're dressing Krishna, you're cooking for Krishna. It's an active service. That has to be done also. But your mind must be absorbed in Krishna. I'm doing it for Krishna. I'm doing it for his pleasure. So that consciousness. Then the next part of the verse itself, with great attention and reverence. So with great attention and reverence means what? This rules out mechanical chanting. It's like with great reverence. Great reverence. And Prabhupada repeatedly warns us against offenselessness, careless repetition, mental distraction. And it's important. I was just looking earlier on in the Srimad Bhagavatam a few minutes ago, and the second canto of the 8th chapter, text 5, it's important in that purport. Prabhupada speak of hearing. Attentive hearing is a gateway to realization. Because sometimes we're chanting and we're not hearing attentively. I'll read the verse itself. The sound incarnation of Lord Krishna, the Supreme Soul, enters into the heart of a self-realized devotee. sits on the lotus flower of his loving relationship, and thus cleanse the dust of material association, such as lust, anger, and hankering. Thus it acts like an autumnal rains upon pools of muddy water. So this chanting cleanses the mirror of the heart. When you properly chant, and all the dust is removed. The third point in the verse, will achieve the greatest perfection of life. So it's not that we often hear dharma, artha, kama, moksha, piety, wealth, sense pleasure, liberation. Dharma, artha, kama, moksha. So this is not our goal. This sets it out very clearly. The goalpost is something else. It's not these things. So, but what is it? Pure devotional service. And here Prabhupada speaks, and you'll read in the purport too, liberation is already included in devotional service. Many, many times he quoted from Narada Pancharatra, frequently Prabhupada quoted, that liberation is already included in devotional service. So a person in Krishna consciousness is not even thinking of that. He's not thinking of liberation. The fourth point in the text itself is without delay. So if it's without delay, it means that it demolishes the idea of spiritual perfection, that we have to wait for spiritual perfection. It demolishes that idea. Because without delay means, we think it's many lifetime, we have to engage in extreme austerities, intellectual mastery. We try to, learn a lot of verses and become a scholar and an academic. No. It's immediate. It's immediate. And the verse that's normally quoted from the first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, you know this verse? Saiva pumsa para dharma yato bhaktir adhoksaja ayutiki apritihi tahata yayatma suprasidati. This verse we learned when we first joined the first canto. Ayutiki apritihata. It's unmotivated and uninterrupted. So if it's not motivated and it's not interrupted, then you get satisfaction. But as soon as you have a motivation and that motivation is not met, you'll be unhappy. So therefore, in the Bhagavatam, there's so many verses. So bhakti works immediately. It is on the absolute platform. It works immediately. So those are important points on the verse itself. So let's go to the purport. So the purport, there's many points. Perfection means becoming a devotee of Lord Krishna. What does that mean? Perfection. What is your definition of perfection? The perfection is we realize our eternal position. Jivere Swarupa Krishna Nityadas. When you come to that platform, it's called identity restoration. When you know, and you revive that relationship you have with Krishna. So that means perfection means becoming a devotee of Lord Krishna, because that is the goal. We have to realize who Krishna is and what a relationship we have with Krishna. You may say, oh no, don't worry, just chant Hare Krishna, everything will happen. But it's not that easy. We have been chanting for almost 4 decades. And I don't know, I guess we still may be battling with that. So perfection is pure consciousness. Pure consciousness, but not external success. Some people may be successful materially and many facets of material life, but he may not be pure. And we often tend to judge people according to their material acquisitions. And we try to associate with those types of people. Be careful. Then the next point in the purport, where Prabhupada quotes the Srimad Bhagavatam, the first canto, chapter 2, text 28, Vasudeva Paraveda. So this is, Prabhupada's like master key in preaching. It means that all Vedic knowledge, all sacrifices, all spiritual disciplines, they actually converge in Vasudeva or Krishna. It converges to Vasudeva. Just like the verse quoted, after many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare. What's the verse? What's the Sanskrit verse? Bhavanam janmanam ante jnanavan mam prapajyate vasudevam sarvamiti samatma sudurlabha. It's quoted in the purport. So what happens is that Prabhupada is telling us, or he also dismantled religiosity, sectarian spirituality, partial realizations. Anything not leading to Vasudeva is like considered to be unfinished business. So whatever we engage in, Vedic knowledge is good, sacrifices is good, spiritual disciplines are good, but it all must converge to Vasudeva, to Krishna. The third point in the purport, all perfection, material gains and liberation by prayers. It's by prayer. Krishna is a complete person. What is the Sanskrit word for complete? Purnam. Is that right? Complete. So one who serves the complete whole is automatically complete. So if somebody is serving Krishna, means it's complete. Because all forms of incompletion are experienced due to the incomplete knowledge of the complete whole. You got it? If you got that? If God is incomplete to you, then whatever you experience will be incomplete. But if God is complete for you, then you won't experience that. Everything is complete. Like that. And then in the Srimad Bhagavatam, again in the 4th canto, 3rd chapter, text 14, Prabhupada talks about watering the root nourishes the whole universe. Watering the root nourishes the whole universe. And also in the 10th chapter of the 8th verse of the Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna is the source of everything. What is the Sanskrit verse? You learned that? Aham sarvasya prabhavo mata sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajanti mam buddha bhava samanvitaha. Where Krishna says, I'm the source of everything, all material and spiritual world. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service with all their hearts. You have to learn this verses, very important verses. So devotees really don't seek material gain or liberation. They're not looking for that. Prabhupada said that in one of his lectures. They lose interest in them and they transcend that. Then the next point in the purport, praise of Brahma and Shiva. So here Prabhupada establishes that hierarchy. What does that mean? He establishes that authority or hierarchy, meaning that even demigods like Lord Shiva and Brahma are worshippers or servants of Krishna. Krishna is not one God among them. He is the source of all. I just quoted the verse. He is the source of all gods. So this also defeats, demigod or devata-centered religiosity and impersonalism. So even in the higher planets, the first living entity is also worshipping Krishna. The next point in the purport Srila Prabhupada talks about is following in their footsteps. So this is the parampara system. We have to follow the formula. And the formula is to follow the authorities or the acharyas. Yesterday I was giving a class from the Chaitanya Charitamrita on the Adi Leela, on the first chapter of the spiritual masters, discussion of the spiritual masters. Prabhupada writes a summary about two pages and a paragraph. And in there he quotes all the acharyas from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You know, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Swarup Damodar. He quotes all those acharyas, Raghunath Das Goswami, Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, all the acharyas right down to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and Srila Prabhupada himself now. So he quotes all those acharyas. All those acharyas, they have a particular mood. Like Swarup Damodar, you know, he knows the mind of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because he's so absorbed in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's life. He's very absorbed. So he knows the mood. Like Raghunath Das Goswami is responsible for, he's an embodiment of renunciation and absorption also. And he quotes all these acharyas, even Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So the knowledge is coming down in the parampara from the acharyas. So that knowledge is coming down, but we just have to receive it. We receive that knowledge. But, you know, when we have this knowledge, we become proud of this knowledge. That we know so much, we know so many verses, we're so expert, we have academic understandings, and you know, even myself, sometimes I like to talk about things that I learnt in school, and you know, it's academic knowledge. So it defeats all that. It kind of, because this knowledge is you receive this knowledge. You get it? It's received. It's not that you have to study, it's received. It's coming down from the parampara. But obviously you have to read it to know it. But you receive it. But even if somebody is not, you know, an intellectual or does not have, you know, who has shortcomings or he has some disabilities, he can still receive this knowledge. So this knowledge is received. And the person comes, and then there's success. Then there's success. So we have to come to that point that we are receiving this knowledge, and then you'll come to that level where Krishna is mine. Not that I belong to Krishna, but Krishna is mine. There's a difference. There's a grave difference. Then third point is is talking about ignorance of real self-interest. Natu vidu sarva gatim. And Prabhupada uses this verses quite often if you read his purports. So here he actually diagnoses the core disease. Because people don't know their real self-interest. And he quotes in the purport, making temporary adjustments for permanent solutions. Not possible. So in the purport, he identifies, he diagnoses that we don't know our real self-interest is to serve Krishna. We don't have that. And Prabhupada applies this to politics, economics, science, social reform. People are more concerned on these topics. But without Vishnu in the center, what is the value of that knowledge? What does it mean? Krishna in the center, it means nothing. Everything is simply cheating. So yes. So then the next point, impossible to become satisfied by adjusting the external energy. We just mentioned that, like material progress or psychological self-help. Why? Because this is, we're dealing with the soul is dealing with the internal energy, and matter is external. So it can never satisfy the spirit soul. Cannot. And there's a verse in the Gita, 5th chapter, text 22, where material pleasures are sources of misery. And there's other verses in the Bhagavatam, but we won't talk about it now. The fourth is, where Prabhupada ends the purport with the final seal, where he says, we go to that verse earlier on, Bahunam Janmanam Ante, after many, many births and death. He is actually in knowledge. He surrenders. So one gets knowledge by engaging in bhakti. He gets knowledge automatically. You don't have to try separately. Because he knows that Krishna is everything, and Krishna can give him that knowledge. It's like somebody asked Prabhupada, does he know everything? He said no. But he said, Krishna knows everything and he tells me. So you don't, Krishna knows everything. And then from that verse itself that we quoted, 7:19, such a soul is very rare. Very rare. Why rare? Why do you think it's rare? Because we have a false ego and it resists surrender. Nobody wants to surrender because people want to control, not service. Even you come to a spiritual institution, you may have that type of controlling mentality. It's not that you'll be free from it. But the more you surrender to Krishna, then you will become free. So thus, Prabhupada's mission, we all know what Prabhupada's mission was. To surrender to Krishna and give it to others. And this could be made easily accessible by Nam Sankirtan, the holy name, chanting the holy name. Easiest process. So I just wanted to discuss, we ended the purport, it's over, that we unpacked the verse itself, the purport. Now I just want to talk about the Shishastikam, which talks about full absorption. Like a moment feel like 12 years or more. And that's dealing with, and when you look at those verses from the Shishastikam, I was studying this not so long ago, trying to do a seminar on it, and it's quite interesting how the Shishastikam verses are related to from Shraddha to Prema. From Shraddha to Prema. Like the first verse. The first verse, Nam Namakari Bhauda Nija Sharva Shakti. So I won't repeat the whole verse, but in essence that first verse deals with sadhu sangha, bhajana kriya and anartha nivritti. So it's when one is chanting the holy names, he's getting association of devotees, his unwanted weeds or the weeds that are hampering his perfection is destroyed. So these verses, this one I called Yuga Yutam Nimishena, like 12 years or more, you're feeling that separation, where your consciousness is like saturated. This is like text 8, the last verse, where somebody is on that highest level of love. He has no independent desire. He has no separate identity, but his life is defined by remembrance of Krishna. So he's completely absorbed. So that is on the level of prema. But the first verse is saying you sadhu sangha bhajana kriya anartha nivriti, like that. So earlier on we spoke about that 6th chapter, text 47, about how Krishna is giving his opinion that the person, the yogi, who is fully absorbed in him, his mind is always absorbed in Krishna, is the highest person. So absorption is not an imagination. It is the natural state of purified consciousness. It's your natural state. So text 1, when it talks about Chaitodharpanam Marjanam, where you getting rid of all those unwanted weeds. And through chanting, those things go away. But if you're chanting, and if you're not chanting very attentively, then those weeds will sprout up. Because it said that the chanting immediately cleanses the heart. It extinguishes the fire of material existence and it awakens bhakti ras. And remember, it's done, we read in the verse itself, without delay. Why? Why is it without delay? Because Krishna, the name Krishna and the name Krishna and Krishna himself are non-different. So it's done without delay when one chants the holy name. Then the greatest perfection of life. Na danam, na janam, na sundaryam. What does it mean? Madhurya? Every day you was chanting that. Na danam, na janam, na sundaryam. Yeah, and what else? So sure. But that's a very important verse. And what's the translation? Because you don't want, this verse is saying that you don't want followers, and that's a very difficult thing to give up. Somehow in the midst of our activities and our interaction, we want some praise, we want some attention, we want some followers. Na danam, na janam, na sundarim, the opposite sex, wealth, all these are obstacles. Now this only happens after the 3rd verse. What's the 3rd verse? Trinadapi sunichena. So you can only chant constantly when you reach the level of nishtha. That level is nishtha, when it's very steady in devotional practices. Then comes this one. So it takes a very long time to come to this point. It's not that easy, to give up following, fame, name. Like Raghunath Das Goswami in Manashiksha, he said it's like eating dog flesh, running for name and fame. Eating dog flesh. So yes, real perfection. Then, there's so many, I won't do all because I want to give some time to questions. Like text 6. Nayanam galad ashtudaraya. So this describes what successful prayer is. It produces humility, emotional softening, and genuine dependence on Krishna. So when one is engaged deeply in devotional service, you'll find his heart becoming soft. But it's a long process. Sometimes we haven't reached that. We're trying our best to come to this point. But surrender is the goal. Then tears will come later. We have to surrender to Krishna. Then we'll experience the tears streaming down our eyes in love for Krishna. We may not experience that now. And prayer is not to get things. We don't pray to become rightly positioned. But prayer is just, we're loving Krishna. Like I was speaking to somebody from London yesterday, and they were describing a devotee how under many difficult circumstances was still surrendered and loved Krishna. Not some, very elevated sannyasi or something, no. But somebody just like an ordinary run-of-the-mill devotee who's also having that love for Krishna. Then Brahma and Shiva offering prayers. So that you can connect it to the third verse, Chinadapi Suni Chena. Because they are very exalted people, but they are always praying to Krishna. Because no one is independent. There's so many, I just want to skip those and we can just describe that some other time. Or maybe I'll just do one more. And then we can, and then we can take some questions. Is it okay? Okay? Or Maharaj can make some comments also. So people do not know the secrets. This is the 6th verse. That was quoted in the purport. That we forget our identity. We wander in this material existence. So the soul has forgotten its constitutional position as a servant. And therefore we may need to surrender more and more to Krishna. So we can go back to Godhead in this lifetime and serve Krishna in our original constitutional position. But there's one point in the verse itself that I was just thinking as I was going along, and I quite forgot about it. I was meditating on it earlier on. It says there, by murmuring, and avihita, fully attentive in the word for word. Because you must come to the point of hearing the holy name being absorbed completely. See, you chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. But you're not even hearing it properly. It just goes past the ear. So then the second stage is murmuring. It's just like muttering it, It's very soft. But then you'll have to come to that level where it's deeply absorbed. It's more like in a silent meditation. So the japa also has different levels, and one has to come to that level. But here Prabhupada says will be fully attentive. Avihita, fully attentive. Chanting the holy name. So we'll stop here and we'll open the floor for some questions and comments, and anybody would like to comment. Or may Maharaj, you want to say something? Maharaj don't want to say anything. No, Maharaj don't want to say anything. Yes, Isaiah Prabhu asked good questions always.
Hare Krishna. I see in the verse it talks about prayer. What is the prayer? Is there a specific prayer for that verse? And secondly, I watch a lot of reels on YouTube, and I notice I even play Prabhupada chanting, and he's chanting audibly.
Yeah.
Is there a reel where Prabhupada chants Manasa or softly and gets absorbed? So I'm thinking if he did it like that, then I should do it like that.
Correct, yes.
Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Maybe you can say.
You see, you have to chant, you have to hear yourself. Imagine if everybody in the morning here chants very loudly, they want to hear themselves. I don't think so anybody. See, Jai is also chanting loudly there, yeah. So chanting, Gopal Raj, you're disturbing us also. So chanting loudly, Prabhupada recommended that you chant loudly here, but here attentively. So, like Haridas Thakur will chant differently. He'll chant so many thousand and loudly, so many thousand and softly, and then in the mind. So it's like a little different. So you will come down to that level. But Prabhupada is just preaching to us, like us Westerners and new people. So we have to chant audibly to hear ourselves. But slowly, as you go along, it becomes softer and your mind is absorbed in the holy name. And it becomes actually faster. But it described in the scriptures as 3 levels, loud chanting, muttering, and then silent. It's also described. Is that okay?
Yeah. And the first question about the actual verse.
Oh, the verse itself is talking
prayer?
about the prayer of the Rudra Gita. We went through all those prayers. So there's various prayers, that's by Lord Shiva. You can recite those verses. You can recite, if you're happy to recite the verses. And sometimes you're praying for something that may be not in that verse. Then you can always pray to Krishna in your own broken words, or even if it's not well written. You get it?
So does that verse apply to practitioners of bhakti right now?
Yeah, it does.
Or it does? So that means we should be saying that prayer, or should we be chanting Hare Krishna?
If you like to say it, there's no harm. There's many. There's Gopi Geet. It's run into 19 verses, which is very beautifully sung. Before I should like reciting it, but now I stopped it, so I forget the words now. Yeah, the Gopi Geet. And what's the other one, Maharaj, of Radharani, where Lord Shiva sings that song, Radha Kripa Kataksha, huh? About Radharani and Krishna, this by Lord Shiva. Beautiful verses. Very beautifully sung also.
Hare Krishna, thank you. I can go on, but I'll stop there.
Jai got some comments there. Tatu Jai, or some question.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I just want to add to his question about the prayer. Remember, these prayers are in the Bhagavatam are prior to Kali Yuga. Those prayers in the Bhagavatam are prior to the advent of Kali Yuga. So in Kali Yuga, it's recommended that we chant Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Not necessarily those prayers, but it's good you can. There's so many prayers by Queen Kunti, Gajendra's prayers, very beautiful prayers, Lord Shiva. But the recommended is to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. And Prabhupada will stress that if you read 8th chapter Bhagavad Gita, throughout the chapter is in the purports, he's stressing on the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. That chapter is dealing with the time of death, attaining the Supreme. So the emphasis is on that. Hare Krishna, thank you.
Thank you for that. Yeah, thank you. But we have been speaking about the Hare Krishna mantra from the beginning when we started. And yes, then we went into the verses of the Shishastikam about chanting. So yes, but these prayers are not prayers that that we shouldn't be, because the whole Bhagavatam is all prayers. It's all verses, and it's when you reach perfection in your chanting, then you'll experience the Ras Leela. You get it? It all takes you to that point. It's not that it's like separate. If you recite Lord Shiva's verses, you'll still benefit a lot. Especially when you're connected with Lord Shiva, you can remove your false ego. So there's many things, you benefit from these prayers. It's not that, why do you think it's in the Bhagavatam? It's in the Bhagavatam because it's important, and we can recite any of these verses. But yes, the Hare Krishna mantra, as Jai Prabhu said, is the process for this day and age. But what if you meet a devotee of Lord Shiva and he's not into chanting the Hare Krishna mantra? You can tell him to recite these prayers. Because it's coming from Sukadev Goswami itself. He put it in the Bhagavatam. That can be done. And like I met somebody in Eldoret, There's a Gujarati lady, her name was Kavita Patel in Kenya. I was talking about her, that she said, is there some, like she worships Shiva, and she said, is there some compromise? I said, you can do both, you can. So I was thinking what to tell her. I said, no, you worship Lord Shiva. You worship Krishna. You offer everything to Krishna, and then you take the water, and then you do the abhishek on the lingam that she's got. See? So you're offering everything to Krishna, and then, so that's like the compromise. So then I sent her that verses from the Radha Kripa Kataksha, and she started learning those verses because it's so beautiful, which is recited by Lord Shiva in glorification of Krishna, Radha and Krishna. So, it's like that. So we can get people gradually taking to the process of Krishna consciousness, depending on the practitioner. Like a lot of people, you say chant. A lot of people, they don't have piety, they cannot even chant the holy name. Even in India. They say Hare Krishna, Hare Ram. They don't know the whole mantra even. Even here also. Is it okay? Anything else, Jai, you want to add on? Maharaj?
There are many prayers in Bhagavatam and everywhere, and also we have to chant according to our level of understanding, realization. As a Hare Krishna mantra is for all, beginners especially it is for them, and everyone. Like Radha Kripa Kata Stotra, unless one reaches the stage of the Prema Bhakti or Bhava Bhakti, that should not be recited, because we get the misunderstanding. There, Radharani's beauty is more glorified. Each limb of the Radharani. A person in the beginning stage, you get the material idea of the description. So, it is prohibited. Prabhupada also somewhere said this is not to be sung. Anyway, other acharyas also, nobody allow the Radha Kripa Kata Stotra to be chanted. Also mentioned so powerful that if you're standing in the Radha Kunda, you chant 100 times, you get the darshan of the Radharani, it is said. Still, it is meant for the people, at least they must have realization going to Bhava Bhakti or Prem Bhakti, not for the beginners, Hare Krishna mantra. Some realization gone, like Jai Prabhu was just quoting from the Kunti Maharani prayer, that is Krishnaya Vasudeva Devaki Nandanaya Nanda Gopkumara Nama Kinchana Vittaya. Depending upon our realization bhakti, how fast, steady fast we are, we should chant those. Then we get the proper.
Yes, thank you, Maharaj, for that.
And the 10th canto prayers are there. But they are for the devotees who are in high level, not for the beginners. Beginners cannot understand the 5 Gita, they get misunderstanding also. It is good, prayers are there, but according to our level of understanding, realization, better we chant, that we properly get guidance. And the best prayer is Hare Krishna mantra. Srila Prabhupada stress on the Hare Krishna than any other.
Thank you, Maharaj. But the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra is the means and the end. Yeah, it's the means and the end. It's not just like, what's the end? Like the way we present, Krishna consciousness sometimes to people, like we have boycotted the gopis. But there's a conversation, in Prabhupada's conversations, where, it's there that, and the discussion between Satsarup Maharaj and Prabhupada. So one has to, what is the goal of the devotee? Just chant Hare Krishna, and if he's just chanting in an offensive way, will he reach the goal? I don't think so. So the thing is, we have this verse here is specifically talking about carefully chanting the holy name, the purport, the verse itself, attentively, and without offenses. But then, what is the goal that we go after? But we can't present the philosophy that, oh, it's, we don't have to, we have nothing to do with that because we still want to remain in the lowest level. That's not good, but we have to aspire to get to the higher level, because bhakti or sadhana bhakti has two levels. Vaidhi and the rules and regulation. Those rules and regulation takes you to the next level. It should at some point. Otherwise, we'll keep, when we keep presenting this matter, not that we are speaking openly about the Ras Leela, but as soon as you hear, oh, that topic is not meant. Yes, it's not meant for everybody, but it's meant for certain people with a certain level of advancement. That's true what Maharaj is saying. But it's not that we don't aspire for that. We become so afraid that, we can't aspire for that, because it's there. Is that not true? So we'll stop here. Time is up, 8:29. It's 1 minute before 8:30. I'll say something? Or let Isaiah say something? Or
Hare Krishna. The verse is talking about attentive chanting. What about the case of Ajamil? It doesn't seem like that was attentive chanting to me. How come he attained the goal, or did he? I'm not sure about the actual verse.
In the 6th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, there's some additional commentary by the Acharya, probably Viswanath Chakravarti Thakur, talking about, when Ajamil, when he named his son Narayan, then all the sin was gone. And every time he started calling his son Narayan, he was acquiring bhakti, devotion. You get it? And then you'll say your argument is that he is engaging in sinful activities. But he was not committing the 7th offense. What's the 7th offense? To commit sinful activities in the strength of chanting the holy name of the Lord. He was not doing that. So therefore he was acquiring bhakti. And then when he called for Narayan in the end, not that he just went back to Godhead, but the Vishnu Dutas and the Yamadutas, they came. And there's a discussion going on. And even in that discussion, he's getting purified. You get it? Because there's Yamadutas want to claim the soul and Vishnu Dutas want to claim the soul. But there is, by hearing that discussion from the sadhus or the saints, he becomes purified. So there's additional commentary from Viswanath Chakravarti Thakur, I think it is, if I'm not mistaken. Just check it out in the 6th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So the thing is, he was calling Narayan, he accumulated bhakti. Then he didn't just go back to Godhead. He was saved, he was given a second chance, and he went to Hardwar and he practiced, and then he perfected himself and then went back to Godhead. So is that okay?
Yeah, I never knew that. Thanks.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki